The dynasty of the Golden State Warriors was slowly built up to a roster full of stars, starting out as a young, impressive duo of just Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Curry was a part of the 2009 draft, with Klay Thompson joining just 2 years later in 2011. They are now known as the Splash Bros, but it wasn't until Klay's second year in the league where the team had any real success, going from a 23-win team to a 47-win team in one season. The reason for this sudden success? Not Draymond Green, though he was drafted this year and is a major contributor to this dynasty later on. So, it is the 2015 NBA playoffs, and Golden State is facing the New Orleans Pelicans, with a sweep and move on to the second round. Facing the Memphis Grizzlies and taking it to 6 games, Golden State beat the Grizzlies, moving into the Western Conference Finals. Their opponents, the Houston Rockets, led by prime James Harden. This didn't matter, as a gentleman swept the Rockets. Winning the West meant that they'd be moving on to the finals, and facing their toughest opponent and one of the scariest teams possible for the young Golden State team, all of which had never made the finals. Facing LeBron James in the finals is difficult for any team, but the Warriors especially. You see, just 1 year prior to this, they had lost the playoffs in the first round, and with no major roster change, they were now headed to the finals. How? Steve Kerr. The previous 3 seasons they were coached by Mark Jackson, and after little postseason success, they brought in Steve Kerr. Obviously a great move, as they beat the Cleveland Cavaliers in just 6 games. This was their first ever finals appearance, and for some, their first of 6. The entire roster got their first ever ring, and Andre Iguodala won his first finals MVP. They followed up their first championship with a record-breaking season, as they finished with the greatest win-loss ratio ever at 73-9. After this ridiculous winning season, the expectations were high for the Warriors at the end of the regular season. Facing the Rockets in the first round, they once again won with a gentleman's sweep. Moving into the second round, they beat the Portland Trail Blazers in 5 games. They were now up against the toughest matchup yet, in the Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook OKC Thunder. After a tough 7-game series, Golden State won the Western Conference Finals. So far, they had seemingly the perfect season. An all-time season record, a successful playoff run, Steph Curry winning back-to-back regular season MVPs, and now a finals appearance. Once again facing the LeBron James Cleveland Cavaliers, they took both Game 1 and 2. While the Cavs did come back and won Game 3, after Steph Curry had 38 points in Game 4, it was clear that Golden State would be back-to-back champion. Or maybe not.
Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. LeBron James with the rejection.
Coming back from a 3-1 deficit in the finals solidified LeBron in the GOAT conversation, but it did the complete opposite for Golden State. They needed just one of the next 3 games to win this final series and go back-to-back, yet they couldn't, breaking 2 records that season as the only team to lose after going up 3-1 in the finals. The disappointment fans felt in the team was soon short-lived, however, as they signed Kevin Durant. Already having 3 All-Stars on the roster, Kevin Durant was a huge addition, despite his disloyalty to the Thunder, who he left to create this super team. This was proved by the ridiculously easy path to the finals. After a 67-win season, they faced the Portland Trail Blazers, whom they clean swept. Next, the Utah Jazz, and a clean sweep once again. In the conference finals, they were up against the San Antonio Spurs, and once again, a clean sweep. Making their way to the finals for the 3rd year in a row after not losing a single playoff game, they faced the Cleveland Cavaliers once again. Many were worried after what happened last year, but with Kevin Durant, they beat the LeBron Cavs in just 5 games, winning their 2nd championship in 3 years and Kevin Durant earning his first finals MVP. The next season, they won just 58 games. Though the playoffs went similar to the previous season, with their toughest opponent being the Houston Rockets in the conference finals, who they beat in 7 games. They were now headed to the finals for the 4th year in a row, and once again facing the Cleveland Cavaliers, who were still led by LeBron but had recently lost Kyrie Irving. The Cavs without Kyrie could not get it done, losing in 4 games, and Golden State winning back-to-back championships, and KD with back-to-back finals MVP. It is now the start of the 2018-19 NBA season. The Golden State Avengers have just won their third title in 4 years, have a recent Defensive Player of the Year in Draymond, multiple current All-Stars and recent MVPs in Curry and Durant. The expectations for the Warriors were at an all-time high. No one could have predicted that this would be the beginning of the downfall for this dynasty. They were up against the dark horse Portland Trail Blazers in the West Finals, and after a hard-fought series of 4 games, Golden State had their 5th consecutive final series. Something was different this year. Instead of facing the Cleveland Cavaliers like every other year, they now faced the Raptors. You see, Toronto constantly lost to LeBron in the playoffs for years on end, even earning the name LeBronto. This was the first season LeBron played for the Lakers, putting him in a different conference to Toronto. On top of this, the Raptors went all in at the beginning of the season. After getting so close many times, they traded their first option, Demar Derozan, for Kawhi Leonard. Unfortunately, the Warriors were riddled with injuries in the playoffs, but the major injuries came in the finals. In Game 5, the series was in favour of the Raptors at 3-1. Early in the second quarter, KD ruptured his Achilles, ending his season. Curry and Klay still won this game, however, leaving fans with hope that they may be able to win this series without KD. In Game 6, this hope was completely diminished, with Klay Thompson getting injured after a dunk attempt.
Now writhing in pain.
After tearing his ACL in his left knee, Klay was able to come back out onto the court and shoot 2 free throws before leaving for the locker room. Curry, with the other 2 main scorers on the team out, could not get it done, the Toronto Raptors winning their first ever NBA Finals. This was the end of the team's success for some time. With KD and Klay out for the whole season, they won just 15 out of 65 games and entirely missed the playoffs. The next year, KD had recovered and was set to return, though he didn't return to the Bay, signing with the Brooklyn Nets to form yet another super team with Kyrie and Harden. That season, the team saw a slight improvement, now with a record of 33 and 39. This was likely because they had just drafted James Wiseman with the 2nd pick, meaning they had gone from back-to-back champions to a lottery team in just 2 years. The year after that was Klay Thompson's first season back after their last finals run. Having Klay back clearly made a huge difference, as they were back in the playoffs for the first time in 3 years, and surprisingly went all the way to the finals, where they would beat the Boston Celtics in 6 games. Many saw this as the revival of the dynasty, but over the next 2 years, this would clearly not be the case. Issues with Draymond Green caused a young star in Jordan Poole to be traded. This, combined with chemistry issues around Draymond's constant ejections, caused the team to struggle in the playoffs. In a win-or-go-home play-in game just last year, Klay Thompson shot an infamous 0 for 10. That offseason, he was traded to the Dallas Mavericks, officially ending the dynasty of the Golden State Warriors.